Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in to the Blue Collar Psychiatrist video series. Today, we're going to discuss how you became the person that you are and what you can do about it. Now, it is my supposition that anybody who has everything going for him or her in their lives is not in this audience. There's no need for it. But as the old saying goes, pick your parents wisely. Which means, in translation, that all that you are, all that you have become, is related to your experience with being parented by the parents that you had. For example, your physical appearance is inherited. There's not much you can do about it unless we're talking about plastic surgery. But many people can't afford that, and you are doing something to your body that's not natural. The other is the environment that your parents have brought you up in. If, for example, in my case, my mother was afraid of the world. My father had already died by the time I was 6.5 years old. My grandmother was afraid of the world. As an example, both of them were afraid to fly. And then this got transmitted to me, almost like an infection, until I had no choice to fly in order to get to my destination many, many years ago. And guess what? I was able to do it. Now, for whatever reason, my grandfather was not the least bit afraid of flying. He flew when they were just propped planes, and it didn't mean anything to him. I also recall that my mother, being afraid to fly, was afraid to fly down to Florida to obtain a consultation from her sister's gynecologist because she was not satisfied with the results she was getting at home. My grandfather said, "I'll fly down there with you." He did just as he said, as he promised. She had no problems on the plane. She got the treatment that she needed. And after that, believe it or not, my mother, who was scared to death to fly, flew all over the world. Without accompaniment by my grandfather. And it just shows you how, while your features, your physical features can't be taught to you, your understanding of the environment and your habits can be. So that is part of the lesson of today, is that, but what if you don't have a family member who can lead the way for you? You have no choice but to do what you are afraid to do. And I know that for many people, flying is very, very, very difficult. But you have to have it in yourself. You have to be so committed to the idea of overcoming this fear that you just don't give a damn anymore. And you get on the plane and you fly and you break the back of that fear. And it's the same thing with talking to people that you don't know, starting conversations, making new friends. It's the same damn thing. You have to overcome that. That is the environment. And as I said before, there's not much we can do about how we look. And that has been inherited through genetic processes from our parents. Now, sometimes it skips a generation, but it's still a genetic thing. So what do? You have to be able to be the best version of yourself, whether it's going to a cosmetician or whatever. You have to learn how to make yourself look as good as you can, to be the best version of who you are. And that's the physical side. From the psychological side, it is busting through and breaking through all the things that are terrifying you, because most of these things have no basis in reality. I promise you that if you succumb to your own fears and your own inability to face who you are and what you are, then you will live in a toxic environment. And it is a toxic environment that is created by you, by your thinking. Toxicity of thinking, toxicity of who you associate with is the most important things that you can do in your life. Because it's also been said that we are who we associate with. And if you want to know about somebody, find out who that person hangs out with. Because like attracts like. People like to feel safe. Well, if you're safe, you get to the point that you are afraid to do anything new. You're afraid to get out of that shell. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm here today to tell you is the following. You must overcome the fear by doing exactly what you fear. I'm not talking about something like jumping off a bridge. I'm talking about everyday things. And you must also try to make yourself as presentable as you can, because those are the best, that is the best version of who you can be. And that's all you can do, is to become the best version of who you really, really are. Now, we have another point, is also probably related to, well, to both in a way, probably related to genetics, is how intelligent we are. We can't always control that. But in my particular case, my IQ was above average, but it wasn't certainly to the genius level. But I was determined that if I wanted to get out of the rut that I grew up in, that I would have to seize the day. And I studied. Yes, I sacrificed. I sacrificed my social life, and I sacrificed everything else. But I had to do it in order to get anywhere, because I was damn sure that I was not going to work for somebody else. And I was damn sure that this was the only way out for me. That is what you have to do if you were not gifted with genius intelligence. So there are things that you can do to improve yourself. And again, it comes to this, as we've heard it 1,000 times, is to become the best version of who you are. It has to do with facing your fears, and it has to do with modifying your environment so that you can become who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, I remind you to drink. I drink abundantly from the fountain of life. See you next time.